You're welcome to the Policy Council. My name is Okwemi Agbaje. There's a new institution in the financial space called FMDQ OTC PLC. What is that? What does it seek to achieve? I'm as intrigued as you are, and today we'll find out from our guest what FMDQ OTC is all about. Enjoy the program. You're welcome back to the Policy Council. My guest today can be identified simply by his nickname, Coco. He's a very experienced banker, worked in Citibank for 8 years, worked in FCMB over 2 stints, worked in Trust Bank as CEO, ran his private financial market consulting company, FMDL, was chief operating FDHL, was COO in Lead Bank, and today he's CEO of the new FMDQ OTC PLC. He'll explain to me and to the rest of you curious viewers what FMDQ OTC PLC really means. Coco, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So first of all, let's start with Coco. How did you come to be known so universally as Coco?
As you mentioned, it's a nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Family of 5 boys. Coco started with the second one, so the name was passed down from the second to the 5th. I'm number 4. So known as Coco in school, but he got itself into the professional life when I joined Citibank, and Mrs. Bola Adeshola, the MD of Standard Chartered Bank in Nigeria, then resisted attempts by people to identify her as Bola female and myself as Bola male. Dealers would call into the dealing room and had to identify which Bola they wanted to speak with.
That was in Citibank?
That was in Citibank. So I was asked to look for another name. So I picked my middle name, Kunle.
Okay.
And people would shout, Kunle, Kunle, do this, Kunle, do that. I wouldn't answer because I wasn't used to the Kunle name. So it didn't work for 2 days, and they asked, could there be another name? Then I said, yes, but a nickname. And they said, what was it? And I said, Coco. And Mrs. Kofo Dosekun, who is a renowned solicitor with the firm of Aluko and everybody, then said, that was a good name, Coco. And that was how Coco started. It became viral in the financial market. So that was the name I used as a trader and as a banker. And that's just the name people know.
It's some kind of brand now. You put it on your card.
Yeah, it was a brand, and I was very happy with it. Then the bunch came with his Coco Master. So these days we're struggling with our brand. I wish I'd done a trademark on that and registered it. But
interesting.
That's the way it is.
Interesting, fantastic. So tell us, what is FMDQ OTC PLC? What's this new being that you guys have created?
Well, for starters, FMDQ stands for Financial Markets Dealers Quotations. So this is about dealing. So in essence, the FMDQ OTC PLC is the incorporated name for the OTC market that is going to cover the fixed income and currency. Of course, you are aware there's another OTC platform.
Precisely.
But we expect them to be predominantly focused on equity, since their background, mostly they're stockbrokers, although some of their seniors many years back were also renowned bankers.
We had the chairman of that NASD PLC on the Policy Council months back, Mr. Tola Mobolo, and he told us about NASD PLC. So try and explain for the benefit of my viewers who don't understand as much as you and I about financial markets. How does FMDQ OTC and your markets differ from NASD PLC and maybe other exchanges in the marketplace?
Okay. The FMDQ OTC is actually occupying the space that belong to the interbank market.
Okay.
So in the interbank market that everybody is aware of today, The traders, the treasurers in those markets trade foreign exchange, deal in the wholesale money market, trade federal government of Nigerian bonds very actively. And those are the markets that are being rolled under the FMDQ OTC. And for FMDQ OTC to then develop these markets beyond where they are today. So equity will really not be the focus of this market.
So NASD is focused largely on equity.
Primarily, as they start, I guess everyone will play to his strength. And whereas FMDQ OTC will be about debts, commercial papers, bankers' acceptances, wholesale money market, foreign exchange, FGM bonds, then we start adding AMCON bonds, try and create liquidity there, the state government bonds, Lagos State. We're looking at the new Lagos State government bond, and we believe we can create liquidity for that state government bond.
Okay, fantastic. So this is about creating liquidity, really.
Part of our agenda.
We'll go deeper. Let's take a short time out. I'm with Bola Onodele Koko of FMDQ OTC PLC. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. It's still the Policy Council. I'm still talking to Koko Bola Onodele, the CEO of FMDQ OTC PLC. Bola, OTC means over the counter, right? Yes. What does that signify? It's an over the counter market, as opposed to what?
As opposed to the traditional exchange, where when there are transactions on the exchange, then the transactions are unbundled and each counterparty's trade then becomes a trade with the exchange. So a trade becomes two separate trades. In the over-the-counter market, the trades are usually bilateral. So two parties have a trade, and then the settlement is between them.
Okay. So how did we get to FMDQ OTC PLC? How has this, because I know the interbank market, we've always had that. I mean, those of us who are not treasurers, we even sometimes had things to do. We knew there was interbank. How have you evolved to the point where you now have this fairly more sophisticated creation that you're putting together?
It dates back to 1976 when, well, I'm not sure any of them is in banking today, and they were treasurers many years back. And they had this informal organization, of course, to, encourage cooperation amongst them, bank treasurers, and it remained unregistered until 1989. When it was registered, it was then named Money Market Association of Nigeria, which is the name most people recognize with the treasurers in the market. Something significant happened in 1995. Mrs. Oshibodu catapulted me to Bahrain. And I think I was reporting to Jibril Aku as well, to go and sit in the Citibank dealing room for exposure, and I was thrown into Bahrain for a month. It was whilst I was in Bahrain that I saw in their offshore banking unit, Citibank and all these big banks are in the market, the trading model where instead of me calling you in the morning and asking, oh, Mr. Ogbaje, do you have dollars? You don't have to do that. What I'll do is to ask you for your bid and ask. And once you tell me the price at which you are buying and the price at which you're selling, you leave me to decide whether I want to buy or sell, or thank you for being a gentleman, giving me quotes, and then say no interest. It was fascinating to me. I was close to 30, and I was trained by a 21-year-old, and I saw the volume he traded every day until I left that dealing room. As expected of policymakers and as expected of professionals, I came back to the market and discussed this with Rashid Olaoluwa, who is the MDC of UBA Holdings today. He was a trader in Guarantee Trust. UBA Capital, sorry. And he was a trader in Guarantee Trust Bank. And I said, Rashid, see what I came back with. And instead of us telling each other, oh, I don't have dollars, when you have, call me, we're both on the FX desk. let's do two-way quote. I did that against the policy of the bank, interestingly, because I didn't know. And the next day, Mrs. Oshibodu, after she was upset with what I did, came back to the office and said, Coco, do you know what? We can introduce this to the Nigerian market, and challenge me with it. So quickly I ran to Guarantee Trust Bank and told them, let us put this together. We invited people in the market, and they all honored the call, and this was the beginning of two-way quotes. And the developments that followed rapidly after, immediately we put that in the market. We then thought there should be an interest rate benchmark. I told him again, look, if you want to trade interest rate futures, derivatives, you need a benchmark independent of anybody. So we went back to this association again, NIBOR, after that, NIFEX for foreign exchange. And then the whole association got energized about seeing his responsibility as market development primarily.
Fantastic. So that's what has led. Now, tell us about, very quickly, the ownership, the governance structure, the membership of FMDQ OTC.
Yeah. We didn't then get on FMDQ until 9-10 years after. In actual fact, if we're just starting, about 13 years after. And it was the same association who received the
Which
idea.
it was now named Financial Market
FMD,
Dealers
exactly.
Association.
So Dr. Wura Abiola and I then thought of having the bankers put together their own association. After discussions, preliminary discussions with Mr. Mobolurin, highly respected Mr. Mobolurin, we call him. And Agboje led the team, and they went to Bankers Committee to present this. Then Mrs. Shola David Boa was the chair of the Financial Market Subcommittee of Bankers Committee, worked with Agboje, Agimokwede, excuse me, and then the Bankers Committee endorsed it. Being a financial markets focused project, the central bank was interested, supported it with 100 million. All the banks then, 25 and 24 banks and 5 discount houses then contributed 15 million each.
Okay.
So that was how the paid-up capital required for a Securities and Exchange license was put together. So the shareholding classes of FMDQ, to answer your question, will be the central bank, the banks and discount houses, now reduced to 24, the subsidiary of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, referred to as NSE Consult Limited, and then the association itself. I mean, if you introduce and you promote an initiative, you should have skin in the game. And they also, the Financial Market Dealers Association, is the 4th class of shareholders.
Fantastic. Let's take a short time out. I'm talking to Bola Onodele, aka Coco of FMDQ OTC PLC. We'll be right back.
Government wants our city to become a mega modern city. And so, government is providing modern markets for us to carry out our business. Now, this requires money. So, we need to pay our taxes to help government to help us. I pay my taxes. I hope you've paid yours. I pay. Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back. It's the Policy Council. I'm speaking with Coco on FMDQ OTC PLC. I have this document, Coco, that says your objectives are market development and liquidity, risk management and compliance, service data, and market integrity. Tell us what in layman's language, in the language of the man on the street, what do those mean?
So what it means is we would be focused on ensuring, one, the markets deliver the promise that it should deliver to the market. Integrity, documentation, comfort, people want to trade, and investor protection. And we look at the products also. What are the new products to introduce to satisfy the market? And one of the products that we have to look will be interest rate hedge. A lot of the corporations are exposed to interest rates rise. Investors are exposed to interest rates, ease. So we need to give them finance. So we will be focused on market development. In terms of liquidity, if you invest in the market, people invest for different reasons and over different periods, referred to as horizon. at the point where you want to get out of the market, you do not want stories. You want to be sure there's a market where you will get the right value. Because if, for example, nobody's interested in buying what you're selling, then you'll be forced to be stuck, or
and
you
in
get
any
a price.
event, you probably won't go in if you don't see a clear way in terms of liquidity.
And the two-way quote model of trading the market, which is also called market making, allows people to see that liquidity. So one of the things we'll do is to put governance to be sure this obligation is honored by all the trading members.
Okay, fantastic. Now, risk management and compliance?
Valuation becomes important when you have a portfolio. So you've given your money to an investment manager, invest on my behalf, and I'd like to see reports. How do you know if the right decisions have been taken? The only way to know right decisions have been taken is if there's a value consistently put, market value. Today, nobody's playing that role in the market. We have to play that role. In the space where we occupy, bonds are traded and then prices change as interest rates level move. So instead of people assuming that if you put in 1 billion, the value is always 1 billion, that is not true. Over the life of the bond, it will take on different values. At maturity, you may get the face value. So that is the part of risk management, compliance, there are rules. And the major part is the last one about information.
Okay.
When you transact or deal in the financial markets, we always train rookies that come in, what you trade is information. It's of utmost importance. So we need to ensure that investors, end users, and also the traders have, information at par.
I'm looking at this list of products you are going to be trading: bonds, treasury bills, money market. Those are all under money market. CPs, commercial paper, bankers' acceptances, FX, and then derivatives, commodities. And anyone who has reflected on the global financial crisis then gets scared and says, hey, I hope these people are not going to bring this financial market sophistication that caused the global crisis to Nigeria. What would you say to those people?
It is to understand the two sides of derivatives. If you ask Alan Greenspan, he will tell you that derivatives bring value. If you ask Warren Buffett, it tells you it is a weapon of mass destruction. There are two sides to it. What we are looking at is the plain vanilla. You know that you're going to need dollars in 3 months' time, and the dollars you need add up to $5 million. If you go to the market or talk to any of our trading members to hedge that risk for you, we expect you to deal only in $5 million. If you take on more than that, you started gambling against foreign exchange rate. So we're interested in providing financial security products to genuine corporate treasurers, institutional investors who have exposures in market risk. So we're not interested in the exotic speculation. That is not what we do. Our members are interested in providing financial security.
Fantastic. Let's take another time out. FMDQ, OTC, PLC, Cocoa. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. It's still the Policy Council, and I've been with Bola Onodele, new CEO of the FMDQ, OTC, PLC. So, Bola, what you've described is a complex activity. It's world-class. What's the technology driving this operation that you're going to be providing?
Again, I'm usually quick to say we have existing markets. And the technology in those markets today, we have the Thomson Reuters technology, and we also have the ICAP technology. Now, that's a company from South Africa. Since our markets are existing, our position and the position of our board is to keep the market dynamics until we understand fully all the responsibilities, because as a self-regulatory organization. We now have reporting responsibilities towards our regulators. We also have some responsibilities to other stakeholders.
SEC is your regulator.
SEC is our regulator, but all our trading members are licensed, are banks and these kind of things. And some of the markets, foreign exchange and money market. And you cannot divorce the interest of a central bank from financial markets. So we understand the role of central bank. Any complementary technology to the way things are done today will be added on to connect the Nigerian market with international market, which would enhance the technology. Over time, over a period of 12 months, we would have understood all our enterprise requirements, either to satisfy the clients or our own internal requirements, human resources management, finance. And by then, we would look at the best technology. Don't forget the Nigerian Stock Exchange is a shareholder and has recently launched his X-Gen technology. We would obviously look at that.
Consider all the options.
Consider all the options and then take a decision that is best for the market. And with technology, we have to then take technology to the clients as well. The institutional investors are major parts of this market, and we would like to involve them in technology because that makes the operation seamless.
How do you take care of governance if somebody does something wrong? If one trader does something wrong, discipline and all of that, how do you handle that?
The governance of FMDQ is very robust. We've got the board. We've got 5 board committees, one of which is the Board Regulation and Supervision Committee. And the chair of that committee is Mr. Oscar Oyema, the CEO of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And this is done because of the independence required. So the independent director is also there, the CEO. And these are, directors without interest in any of the banks. So they handle the disciplinary procedure. And if any of the institutions of the directors, by the time their decision comes to the board, then that director will have to recuse himself once the decision is taken. We didn't stop there. Twice in a year, the regulators and the directors of FMDQ will meet to review the activities and open all these activities up for discussion. So you're going to have the Central Bank Deputy Governor Economic Policy, the Executive Commissioner Operations of Securities and Exchange, DMO, Director of Financial Markets, PENCOM, Director of Investment Services, all in the room over a period of 1 or 2 days reviewing all the activities. So this will be very transparent. And all this, we still haven't talked about my regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission. The way I examine members and they see the reports is also the way they will from time to time look at the activities of the exchange. So in terms of governance, I think it's very strong and robust.
So what do you envisage over the next 5 years for FMDQ OTC PLC?
Great value. But what is the path of that value? We'll use this last quarter to settle and adjust the technology space to support our business for the next 1 year and the business of our members. The next year, 2014, will be devoted to what we call intensity, trade intensity, to get up liquidity of the different markets. As I mentioned earlier, the Lagos State Bond. Lagos State Bond is one bond that we believe, and other states that issue substantial amounts, that we can create liquidity. After that, we will look at product diversification, as I talked about. The corporate treasurers have hedges. We have to go through periods of sensitization for them to have understanding and how to use the products. And then by year 4, we're ready to connect the Nigerian market, serious linkages as expressed by FSS 2020 to integrate the markets. After strengthening the domestic markets, then we integrate these markets with the international markets. And by year 5, we should be looking at great value and how to bundle this value to the market.
Fantastic. Let me ask a final question. So, from the point of view of the whole economy, what will be your contribution beyond financial markets, beyond, if we came back in 5 years' time as Minister for Finance, what would you say the contribution of this entity would have been.
Yes, interesting, Minister of Finance. But on a more serious note, our mission is to make the OTC markets, to empower these markets to become innovative and credible. But we're not stopping that in support of the Nigerian economy. And it's interesting that you raised that question, because we've seen some models about how the capital market debt platforms in other countries are used to galvanize the SME. Banks have approached us to use this platform to add credibility. That way, capital long-term funding from the pension fund administrators become available, and SMEs can get, funds at reasonable interest rates. At the moment, some of them pay as high as 72% per annum, and then we can come down to 14, 13% per annum. That would be a great value add in support of the real sector.
Fantastic. Coco, thank you very much for coming on the Policy
You're
Council.
welcome. You're welcome.
We'll be right back. Some months back, I had NASD OTC PLC as guests on the Policy Council, their chairman. Today's guest has told us about another one, FMDQ OTC PLC. These institutions that they are coming on board signify depth, deepening, and strengthening of the infrastructure of our financial sector. I hope they will work. I believe they will work. I urge all the stakeholders involved in these new enterprises to ensure that it delivers the value it promises to the Nigerian economy. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.